All right, for this really tough game we got going in the teams where we're struggling behind, it's getting a little bit interesting. So after last turn, after remember we took that shot at C-Zone 36 and wiped C-Zone 36 there, Japan's turn, they went and bought 2 transports to make up for those transports that we killed, and then 10 infantry. Obviously 5 were able to land directly in here, and he still actually got a pretty good shock going. So not a bad ordeal for them. However, as you can see, for the U.S., he had stacked Italy. If you remember, Germany had Italy stacked, so we could have took South East Europe if we wanted to, but instead we decided to poke them on here through C-Zone 34 and bought a sub that we put over here because if you look, they had their 2 battleships is all they have in the ocean in the Pacific, and now they can't. They could bring them together, I guess, in like 58 or 59 or something like that. But that would mean pulling, not shucking. Well, not entirely true. They can still shuck because we weren't able to get a sub targeting 62. But in essence, we're putting the pressure where they can't. They're going to make decisions. If they don't bring the 2 battleships into the same sea zone, whether that's coming up to Alaska or somewhere along in here, I think these are the 3 that they could both make it to. So if they don't put both their battleships together in one of those 3, then this battleship's isolated. He can't go anywhere where we wouldn't have 2 subs that could attack, and 2 subs versus a battleship is a 50-50 shot. Even coming down here, we would have 2 subs on him. So either this battleship goes this way to avoid the subs and eventually going to run into fleets over here, or they bring both battleships back this way to double up. But that's kind of, I don't know, that's just not the intuitive move, but that actually probably is their best move, is to come into one of these 3 zones, bring them both into one of these 3 zones. I don't know that they're going to do that, though. I mean, those aren't the zones you would normally think about taking everybody, right? Perhaps 64. Maybe they'll think about taking both battleships there, with this guy taking his 2 and taking Alaska. That makes sense. And then they can leave their 4 transports back here because we were not able to get a threat onto C-Zone 62, unfortunately. He could leave them naked there. But all of that's to say, the one thing that they can't do is, with what I plan on building, is they won't be able to build 2 carriers and bring the battleship down here. And if they're sending their battleships up this way, that's going to give us some play down here in the southern part. So this battleship either has to go north or has to go east, but it can't really go this direction at all, or we're going to have 2 subs picking it off. And we're going to dead zone C-Zone 61 with our naval purchases in India so that he can't build 2 carriers, fly 4 fighters back in the battleship. We're going to have enough to dead zone against all of that. So he's going to have to build fleet back here, and we're going to have a couple carriers, battleship, some destroyers, some fighters, and these subs already going. So we're going to have a little bit of a head start. It's not a great place to be in because we also still got to keep 5 transport shucks of units going on this way too. So not in a great spot. It was good for us that Germany kind of sat still on their 3 stack. I got a feeling when we make this move to put pressure on here, they're going to decide, okay, Germany can go ahead and take Moscow, and then they're going to make a move there, or Germany will come down here and take India. So it's kind of a Hail Mary shot here, and they can probably squash it with Germany pretty easily still, but we're going to give it a shot. So, that being said, I'm buying 2 destroyers and a carrier for India. We're going to put 2 fighters up on there. And I think we are going to go ahead and buy a infantry artillery for up here in London. Let me think this through for a second. We could do 2 artillery, actually. I think we'll go ahead and do 2 artillery because we only got the 1 fighter to be able to trade with up here, and it's kind of tough to trade with just the straight infantry. So here we go. So that's one thing. We needed to take that, or else these fighters could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and this bomber could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he could land 4 fighters and a bomber in there, and these 2 fighters. So he could add 6 fighters and a bomber hitting the little mini fleet by simply taking Persia there. Now these fighters can't hit. The bomber can't hit. All he has is the 2 fighters, and so we're okay there. Nope, that's not what we wanted. Well, we can still do this. I did want to take a look at this real quick, a little closer for a second. And yes, we're good taking 2 guys from here. They don't have enough to attack here because we do got 10 more units coming in, so we're going to continue to stack Finland at this point. So that's good. We're going to continue to try to trade over here. I really want to bomb, but I really need both bombers for dead zoning 61, so unfortunately, I don't think we can afford to potentially lose a bomber. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just hope. I was wishing there was some way we could get the bomber to focus on 62 here, but we'd have to be able to get to Alaska. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can't quite get to Alaska. If we could get to Alaska, that'd be great, but then he also could just land in Alaska and kill it, so that doesn't really work either. So, unfortunately, 62 is going to be free. Alright. Then I think that's all our attacks this turn. Actually, you know what? Let's just hum-de-dum-de-dum. What can the bombers hit? Oh, I'd love to use it to hit these single infantries and bombard, but like I said, it's just not... We can't risk any of our fighters or bombers. We need them all for dead zoning 61. There we go. Got friends. We need all this money to support our expensive navies we're building down in the south. There we go. We got Northwest too. Awesome. Now, he's got 1, 2 fighters that can hit there. These guys can't hit. That guy can't hit. So 3 here is good by itself. So we can send the fighter up there. Do we want to make it 3 destroyers? I think we're going to keep our carriers apart. So we're going to keep it as 2 destroyers and a carrier. So 3 versus his 2. I'll take it. Where else could this fighter go? Could it go anywhere else interesting? We could feed him on in this way. To continue to feed down that way. But I think I like having him up here. Free up his fighter. Give the U.S. a little bit of freedom, and we still have that fighter for helping do these trades with Germany, which are equally important because we can't just have Germany just sending everything over that way now. we got to trade with them as much as we can. All those guys are going to stay still. Those guys are going to stay still. There we go. Oh, you know what I do need to do? So I want to set my defensive profile. I want to save Bomber because he's got a 50-50 on India right now. I don't want him doing a strafe where he hits just to try to knock out bombers and then retreats. So I want to protect my bomber. So I want to make sure I do my save bomber, put the bomber not first to go. I don't care about submerge. That just happens to be my profile that I have for save bomber. But I also want to do a fighters before carrier for that India in case he decided to take the shot at India where he has 4 fighters and a bomber that could attack my loaded carrier and 2 destroyers. So I'm going to change my defense profile. Actually, I'll just go ahead and show you. So we'll come on back to here. So I have my 5 here, but he's got his 4 fighters and a bomber that can attack there versus my 5. I'm okay with that if we're kind of shifting-ish towards a KJF because the U.S. is coming on in and we can build if we need to and, do something that way. So I don't think they'll risk it for no transports, but they could. And if they do, or I don't want them doing a one-shot strafe to try to sink the carrier and then retreat. So I want to make sure that we take the destroyers and then fighters and then carrier. So that's the defensive profile I'm going to switch to, but I'm not going to get the recording going while I do that because I got to figure out how to change my profile because I don't think I have a profile made to do that.